Recording. Hello, welcome to the Inner Sanctum with the fabulous Barbara Jean Lindsey as our guest teacher, who is Cosmic Mother, I call you. Cosmic Mother.
That works. We were talking earlier about the mothership, so Cosmic Mother I'll take.
Has been on this planet for a long time and in many other places. Anyway, I had Barbara Jean on the show talking about her amazing NDE and other experiences, but just for the sake of people that are online that haven't seen the show, we'll just go into a little bit about what happened to you, who you are, why you're on the planet, and then we're going to get into talking about how we access our guides, how we access spirit, how we access consciousness, different levels, different frequencies, different vibrations of consciousness, how we have to shift our frequency to access different frequencies, how they have to shift their frequency to access us. We're going to go into all that, right? We're going to go to, talking to dead people, talking to guides, talking to galactic people, because there's so many different frequencies and levels that we can access, and we're going to sort a bit of that out today. And then, so let's hear a little bit about your journey.
Okay, well, in 1989, December 4th, 1989, I was a single mom with three kids, and I had left my husband. I was in a divorce, and because I had all the stuff. I had the house, I had all the stuff. I had a successful business. I had an art gallery and a interior design business, but I just knew there had to be more than what I had been shown. And so I had become a seeker of truth even at that age. I was 37, and I started taking classes on developing your intuition at a local psychic school. And I was really loving it. And in December, I woke up and there was this white kind of cloud around me. And I went to the psychic school. They kicked me out and said my energy was too messed up to be there. So that night I went to a healing center for women, a healing women's clinic. And as I'm going, a lady who was told by listening to her guides that someone would be needing an inhaler that night. So she brought her son's inhaler, and she didn't know who it was going to be for, but it was for me. And so she handed it to me, and I took it. And usually that would help I have asthma, help my asthma, I'd be okay. Well, that evening I walked in to the women's room, and I had so much pain in my chest, like 1,000 knives. And I let go. I couldn't stay in the body. There was too much pain. So I left. And when I left, then I full body channeled a being from Egypt who said he was there to kill me because I had information that couldn't be given at that time. And he collapsed both my lungs. So I was put in a coma. I went into a coma, was in a coma for 2.5 days. And during that time, I went up out of the body and had no thought of the body at all, but just as spirit. And as spirit, I became one with everything. I won't go into all the details, but when I became one with everything, there was just so much love that I returned to that love. I know I'll return to that love. I am of that love. It's me. There's no separation. There's this collection of all this love, and I'm in it, and it's me, and I'm just like so blissed out beyond nirvana, right? And then I look down and discover that I don't have a body. And at that point, I never knew that I could exist without a body. And so I had been set free. And then in a split moment, I was on a spaceship. And so that's the first time I'd ever been on a spaceship. So then it goes on from there. I just tell my story from there. So that's been 30 years. And when I came back, I was really different, to say the least. I'd always been a little bit weird, though, I got to admit to that. But all my psychic abilities turned on, and I just wanted to love everybody. So there were no filters. We talked about that. And there was no filters when I came back. And So I just want to love everybody and hug everybody and tell them how amazing they are and what a wonderful world we're in. And we have so much available to us, and we're so extraordinary. And so I closed my art gallery, did divorce my husband, and dedicated my life to doing healings and readings for people. And I've done that now going on 30 years. I've traveled the world, just had a wild, wonderful life. And my 3 kids turned out great, just, So, and I have 3 grandkids now too. So,
I think that the reason I put so many NDEs on the show is because of that experience of love. Really the message, and Sissel knows too, because you've written about it in your chapter. She's had that experience of love. Sissel called it drunk inside the body, drunk with love. The beautiful poet Rumi talks about being drunk on love. And Sissel said, now I know what they mean. She's experienced it. But how do we experience that love inside our daily lives when we're living inside the illusion of the fear? And that's what's so incredible. When you left your body, right, and you were up in that place, or in that place where it's up or out or wherever it is, in that marinating in love, what did you think about your life, the frequency of your life? Like, what were you thinking when you're in that love about your life before you remembered that love?
At the time, there was no thinking of anything else. I was 100% totally in the moment. The whole time I was there for those 2.5 days, there was no concept of time or space at all. I was just fully present, 100%. And I think coming back, I still try to be in the moment 100%. That way I can have a much more vital life in a lot of ways, where your fire's on, your noom's up, and you're totally connected to everything still. I mean, sometimes you want to turn it down, so of course you can do that. But it's a way of being, and you have choice if I want to tune up or turn down, or however I want to be in the moment. And it's with you. You're not separate from it. It's the best analogy I can have is like I studied a lot about the goddess and working with the goddess, and you can feel her love come through like a wind coming through a tree. It's just always there. It's subtle. It doesn't have to be like this huge thing like an NDE, but sometimes that love is so subtle and it's perfect. So it's just tuning into that.
Tuning into it, absolutely. And Laura's just said, I think Oscar is marinating in love. And this is true, like animals, and small children are inside that place. Like what NDEs talk about, or people who have had, the last guest I had on the show, Nicole, calls them non-ordinary transcendent experiences. But inside a transcendent experience, and Sissel will know this too, you are in the moment. There is no thought of past or future. There's only the now. And that's what Eckhart Tolle's been banging on about for 100 years, for a long time. He's been on Oprah and everything, so everyone's talking about being in the moment. And that's where an animal is. Like, look at that animal. It's just in the moment, enjoying the now. We've lost Rosie. Where'd she go? I think she turned the camera off. And children are too, like in the moment, not worrying about what anybody else is doing or thinking or saying, not worried about what someone has said in the past or done in the past, not worried about the future, just in this spacious moment of now. And that's what all NDEs say, right? That when you're in that place, beyond time and space, there is no yesterday and tomorrow. There is only the spacious now. There's only now. Yeah. So beautiful.
There's a lot of freedom there. In that, there's a lot of freedom, and we all have, everything moves, everything changes, and so nothing ever remains the same ever. And there's a real beauty to that. That always helps me when I get I do get stuck in some stinking thinking sometimes. I do get stuck in the past where like, where, hey, I used to look really, good, or not that I don't look good now, but you know what I mean, where you can go into that dark, that stinking thinking. And so I just have to shut up and shut the door and then come back to present time and take a deep breath, and then I'm back. I'm here again. So it's good. Kind of like after a while, it's like in the Matrix, where at the beginning, when you start to have a relationship like this with yourself and spirit, that, you're having to fight all the bullets, right? First, you have to be aware there's bullets coming. Then you have to fight them. And then after a while, you find your peace, and you don't even have to dodge them anymore. They just show up, and then you can really co-create your reality. So,
yeah. That's perfect, because I bang on about being deliberate creators of our reality, and people, like, somebody reached out to me, an old girlfriend, actually, a girl I went to school with, who I hadn't seen for 30-40 years. Like, I was at junior school with her and really haven't seen her in my adult life, but she follows me on Facebook, and she's like, I'd like to have a session with you, but do you only talk about the afterlife? And when you watch my shows, there's a lot of afterlife talk. And the reason that I do that is because when you get that frequency, when you get that present moment awareness in love, look at that cat, look at Oscar, like, when you get that vibration, when you really understand that vibration and live it, you now have all the tools you need to create your reality, because that's the vibration that creates. So we get caught up, like what you said, Barbara Jean, in stinking thinking. Like, I love that. That's just the best thing, stinking thinking. We get caught up in judgments of others, judgments of ourselves, especially as women getting older. Like, according to mainstream media, as a woman, you're not allowed to get old or fat or wrinkly. Like, that's just the worst thing that can happen, right? You have to stay young and youthful and beautiful. That's stinking thinking. Like, who made those rules?
It is. It totally is. Totally
I get caught up in that too, that stinking thinking too, that sort of like, oh my God, I'm so old and fat.
It is stinking thinking. I just saw a film, an Australian film. It came out a couple of years ago, and you guys probably all know about it, but for me, it was new. It's called Embraced. You probably saw it, Embraced, with Taryn Brumfitt. And it's called Embrace. Oh my God, she has a body image movement that is amazing.
Yeah.
Do you know her? You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I love her. I love all of that. And I try to teach my kids that and my grandkids that, because we're so conditioned to, to stay out of our power by all of these judgments of the body, especially from women, that we get to annihilate that while we're here. And hopefully my grandchildren, won't have any of those pictures that I came up with, that you had to be a certain way, all of that. So, yay.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing about this planet. When you move beyond the dominant thought forms of this planet, and you move into that love, none of that is relevant or exists. And then you come back here, and you're bombarded with these messages of who you're supposed to be, and how successful you're supposed to be, how thin you're supposed to be, how beautiful, as a woman too. And men have it the same too. They've got to make lots of money and be successful, otherwise they're not worthy. And we're just marinating in these thought forms. And so as light workers, or light weavers, I like to say, our job is to not buy into any of it, and to live from a different perspective, to live from a loving perspective, that all things are perfect, that all things are just as they're supposed, like that no matter what happens, that this life is what it is. And embrace it. Embrace. Look at that cat. I cannot stop looking at that. Look, he's fast asleep on your chest. Oh, he's such a great example of what we're talking about. But she was worrying about being thin and beautiful, and so she went to the gym and became like this crazy fit bodybuilder, won all these accolades and she looked amazing, and she was miserable. And and then she decided that, looking fabulous, it's a bit the same with so many people I have on the show. They get the U-Butte job and they make all the money and they're like successful. They climb the corporate ladder and they're miserable because everyone's looking for what they want outside of themselves instead of looking inside. And so these NDE experiences, these afterlife experiences, or these transcendent experiences, although it feels like you're having some outside experience, you're actually not, right? Because you're inside. You're inside. You're like your body is either dead or asleep or in bed. So you're not outside in this world. You're inside your own consciousness, having transcendent experiences. So it's all within us. Communication with our guides, with our dead relatives, with our galactic friends, with gods, even communication with our animals. It's inside us. It's in here. It's yeah. So do you want to talk a bit about, Barbara Jean, about your access to your guides? When you came back, you said you were completely different. What did that look like?
What I got from the other side was, while I was there, I was more alive there on the other side than I was here. And that's a real common thing. And so when I got back here, the first thing I did is I had to meditate a lot. I still am a meditator. Everyone finds their way, whether that's skiing or walking or out in nature, whatever those things are. But for me, I'm a meditator. I'm probably an old monk from somewhere, just leave me alone and let me meditate and everything's going to be okay, So I have to find my time and have that space for myself. And so in meditation, before, and this is way back in the 70s, I would meditate. I was fasting and meditating. And but before that, I have to go back. When I wrote about this in my book when I was 12, the first time I remember meeting the same group of beings that are the big white hoods and tall robes and square-shouldered, about 8 feet tall, no faces. I was going to go speak for the first time publicly at a school, the whole school, and I was nervous about it. And as I'm sitting there, I'm kind of asking for help. I'm going to need some help to go on that stage and speak those words. Well, to my right, then the row of beings came up, and they were there. And that's when they talked with me and said, how would you like in a later time in your life to be able to speak in front of people and give them hope and wisdom? And I go, yeah, sure, that'll be great. I'll do that if that helps people. And then they said, well, you won't get paid for it. And I go, no way. No way am I going to do that. And they go, oh, well, I think basically, I think you're going to want to do this. So I said, okay, I would do it. And so in a moment they were there, and then a split moment they were gone. And I think it was in a time where I really kind of called out for them. And I think you and I talked about that, Karen, where we forget that they're just there for us. They're so here. I mean, my room is crowded right now. You don't see them, but I can feel them. They're right here. They go, tell her this, tell her that. It's not like, hey, get away, I'm busy or I'm talking. But all we have to do is call them in. And the more you call them in and make them a part of your life, the more you've exercised that muscle. You don't even have to think about it. You don't have to practice. It's just there. Boom. Let's. What do you think about that? Where do you think I should go? And you don't want to get hung up in that either. That's a whole other, because you want to be able to walk. We talked about that, walk in both worlds balance. But wow, we just have just tremendous gifts that are just there right in our auric field waiting to help us. So that was my first time, and I have many, many times we could talk, or I could go on.
How would you, okay, so for somebody who's never heard anything from a spirit guide, who's never known anything about that except for hearing from other people that they have experiences like that, how would you advise them to start trying to hear that?
Number one would be your intention, that you have an intention. I really want to build a desire. I really want to build relationship with you, spirit guide. I know you're here. I want you to be present. I want you to be here. I really need you. I think we could work this out, you know. I need all the help I can get. Obi-Wan Kenobi, however that is. Number 2 would be, once you make your intention, let's say, set it up. Quiet room, don't be interrupted. Give yourself 20 minutes, half hour every day. Make a commitment. It is a commitment because you're going to learn how to exercise a muscle. You're going to build a muscle, basically, in truth of this. And so you have your, I used to, when I first started this, I would have my kids throw a fit because they're used to having me all the time. I said, I'm going to go in my room for 20 minutes and I don't care if hell and high water comes, I'm doing it. And so invariably the ambulance would roll by or the kids would be yelling at the door, and I stuck with it. A few years later, my kids said, please, Mom, go in and meditate. Go in and be with your guides because you're a much better person. You're not as bitchy when you do that. So it's time that I gave myself to build a foundation. So I would sit there in the quiet and you watch your breath. It's real simple. You don't have to complicate anything. Just sit there with your intention and it's quiet. And the second key would be to relax. To relax, because I think I was working so hard, I had to work it. You know, like I had to be perfect and I had to work it and I had to be right. And so I was too uptight to let anybody come in or anybody get near me at that point because I was trying too hard and I was trying to be perfect. So then after you relax and just chill and let go, then you can tune in. And by tuning in, there's a trust to it that happens because it starts to feel familiar. And you build so any fear comes up, you also build a relationship with fear. And so that fear goes through. And then the next part is to expect the best. Why not, right? Why shouldn't it be? It happens every day to everybody. You don't, like Karen and I were talking earlier, you don't have to be perfect or take, 101 meditation or whatever the hell that is. But you can, it just takes practice, relax, expectation, best that'll come. And I guarantee you the spirit guide will come. And sometimes you'll feel it. Some people, different ways of knowing it. For me, I would feel it. I'm very clairsentient. I'm clairaudient too. I'm a whole bunch of things, but it took me a while to figure all that out, right? Where your specialties are. So I would feel it. So then I would ask the spirit guide to please put their hand on my shoulder. And that's where it would start. Because then I would actually feel that. And no one can take that from you. You have a real direct experience. And then everything starts to build from there.
Okay.
So that would be my formula.
Okay.
I was going to ask you because when you was in the realm, you're out of the body, out of the mind. Then you come back to the body. And then the mind kind of is there, the old mindset. So how was it to develop the belief and the trust in the experience you had in your daily life?
That took time. I was overwhelmed. The first thing I thought I was going crazy. Okay. In fact, I was going through a lawsuit at the time with my ex for my children, for custody for my children, and they had me tested. I think I was tested to see if I was crazy. And what it turned out is I was above normal in intelligence and was totally grounded and solid, right? But I think I was tested because I thought maybe I had gone, a little bit, as my family calls, she's a little bit touched because we're from the South. And they say, she's a little bit touched, that Barbara Jean, meaning, I'm not quite the same. And you're not the same when you come back. You'll never be the same. But I also was able to manage walking between the worlds, I think because I had the 3 children. So chop wood, carry water. when you get out there and you have these extraordinary experiences that, you know, change everything, you're set free of the matrix and everything, you know, when you come back, it is trying to put a gallon of milk in a little thimble. So you have to be, I find, really be gentle with myself, be kind to myself. And that's hard to do when you're a single mom running a business and trying to make money and all those things too, and do readings and everything. So I had my electric turned off a lot. I had a lot of things go down pretty heavy. So I had to acclimate quickly. And for me, meditation was a main tool for me. Humor was a huge tool for me. It still is, you know, where we don't take ourselves so goddamn serious, you know, and that we get to laugh about all of this because it's such a delight. You know, they're laughing, and humor lifts you up so much. And I'm not special. I'm not Jesus. I'm not anything. If they're looking for that, they probably scrape the bottom of the barrel. I'm going to have green beer later, okay? It's probably going to happen. I don't even like beer, but it's St. Patrick's Day, so I'm going to have a green beer probably. You know, it's just, it's
I like you're coloring in it green beer.
So I hope that helps. And being around like-minded people.
Yeah.
That I had a place to express myself, like this group here. I think that's a paramount important.
Yeah, I want to add something here too, because this is what we do as humans. What I want to say is we have to make talking to our guides or consciousness more important than the problems we have in our lives, right? Mm-hmm. It has to be more important. What we do as humans is that something goes wrong. Either we get sick, we have bad relationships, we have, you know, we lose our jobs, we've got no money, you know, whatever problem it is, it's usually love, health, or money, right? They're the three big ones. Mm-hmm. And then we put all our focus on that. And we think, oh, I want to talk to my spirit guides, but I've got to sort out my relationship with my husband or my money situation, or I've got to sort my, you know, backache out. And so we focus on our problems. And this takes up such a huge part of our consciousness that spirit is talking to us all the time, but all we can hear is our negative thoughts. How am I going to fix this? Bloody hell, I hate this. Oh, I wish this go away. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You know, I had a conversation with a girlfriend. She's not having a problem, but this is how our mind works. She's a beautiful friend who has been in real estate, made lots of money. She's got properties. She's like managing properties. Things are going well, but she's in her head, right? And so she quit her job. And I said, I bet your boss misses you. And she kept saying, oh, look, I don't want to go back because, you know, I'm just loving not having to work so hard. And I said, yeah, but I bet your boss misses you, you know, and I just go to the kids and I've got the grandkids and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I bet he misses you. Like, I said this thing 3 times. She didn't hear what I said. What she heard was, I should be at work, but I'm enjoying myself. So she kept justifying why she wasn't going back to work. That's not what I said. I said, I bet your boss misses you. I said to her on the phone, this was last night, you know, Deb, I've said this 3 times and you keep responding like I'm saying something else. Mm-hmm. So she's not hearing me. She's hearing her guilt for retiring and having a good time. Like, because she's worked so hard all her life and now she's like cuddling the grandkids and sorting other things out, and she's loving it and feeling guilty about it because she's on this treadmill of work. I've got to work, I've got to work, I've got to work. You know, she's like, what, late 50s. And so that's what we do. We hear this and we don't hear spirit.
Right.
So what we have to do is make that communication with spirit more important than this constant tape recorder or CD or MP3. That's going over and over. And, you know, the thing about you, Barbara Jean, and other people I've had on the show is that when you die, it's sort of like a wake-up call to listen. It's like a big wake-up call to listen, because your body died. But most of us don't have that big wake-up call, so we have to be more deliberate in listening. But I just call it, it's like a sledgehammer moment. It's like God hits you on the head with a sledgehammer and says, listen. And you have an NDE.
It's true. It's very true. I must have been really messing up is what I figure. I got, like you said, really busy with life and everything, and really super busy, and I needed that wake-up call. I really needed it. Thank God, or goddess, or source, or however you want to call it. But yeah, I there was a while though where I thought that I didn't. Why me? Why did that happen? You go through all those brain things, and but it's in my baby book, so it's a big deal. and it's a gift that keeps on giving. It's the same with spirit guides. They're just there. It's a gift. And I really believe, like in the past, like Egyptian style, I think that's why I was so enamored with Egypt for a long time and studied and went there, and all of that was because the spirit was every walk, every breath, every thought, every idea was in his temple. And I've always made my homes like temples. When people come in, they go through that door, I have an intention set there that this is holy ground and the outside world is out there, but we're here, and so I missed that and I mourned for that. And so I try and recreate it here, in a lot of ways. And that is having, like before the show, I did a little sage, and, just whatever, not that in a light way, but, and you open yourself up, and your guides can come through other people. It doesn't have to be through your guides either. Like I met, right after I went way up there and out, I came down, and within a few years I met a Native American Indian chief by accident, right? And I studied with him for 8 years. So your teachers come. And so it's like, oh, I'm busy, I'll get to that. No, when I met him, I'm like, I am stopping everything. And it's not comfortable, and it's not easy, and it does cost you time and energy and, whatever. But wow, what you get out of it is just so much love and so much power. There's an empowerment, not that you go for that, but I can see a coyote from 1,000 miles away now.
Wow.
And that takes practice. It takes taking yourself apart and putting yourself back together again. I know that's part of your work, Karen. It's where you help people take themselves apart and put themselves back together in a more beautiful, empowering, and connected way.
Yeah. All the people I've spoken to over the years, the one thing that NDEs teach us is that when we do our life review, we think that all this stuff that we're down here doing is so important. And what we find out is that the only thing that matters is that we spiritually evolve while we're here.
Yeah. You bring that with you on the other side.
Yeah.
You get to
it's like we're not going through this crap to be tortured. Like we're going through it to expand and grow and to remember who we are. So whether that sledgehammer moment is an NDE or a divorce or a disease or depression, I've got this fabulous teacher here in Australia called Patria King. You know Patria King, Rosie? Mm-hmm. And she calls it the 4 Ds: death, depression, divorce. What was the other thing? Disease. Like we go through these. They're all sledgehammer moments. They're all God saying, wake up and remember who you are. Because when we do wake up and remember that we are love, then we stop seeking it. We stop looking for it in the lover or the money or the food or the success or the holidays or whatever we think that is going to bring us good times or love. and we start to seek it inside ourselves. So it's all a spiritual wake-up call, really, isn't it? And when you do start to focus on that being your most important thing while you're here, then you just hear them, don't you, Barbara Jean? And Cecil, and Rosie, what about you? You having a chat to your spirit guides?
I do. I find with me it's letting go of control.
Right.
That I think, because I go through stages where I've got to control everything. And then it's like, no, let go of that. Let go. And then it's a lot easier to hear them. And
sure.
I think that's where we go back to Barbara Jean's first thing was the intention. Once you set your intention and do that daily, then it keeps that focus.
Yeah.
Do you think that's right, Barbara Jean?
It is. And, I'm thinking, you guys are talking, self-worth, too, is a part of it.
Yeah.
Because you are worthy. We all are, whatever you did in the past. Oh, yeah, well, so what? It's done. And it has to do with self-worth, that we're all worthy. We don't have to do anything, but just be. We're enough and more than enough, just the way we are now. It's just us to tune in. You might have it put away or down low because you're too busy. Well, you can just crank it up a little. And sometimes the information can come really fast. Yes. So you have to slow it down. And sometimes the information can come slow. So you have to tune it up a little. So you'll have to play with that a little bit until you get it just right. But that channel is always available to us if we just give it a chance. And there's no prerequisite who gets to tune in. And for me, it has your best interest at heart, okay? So, and you'll know. So, and you can turn it on and off because you have seniority, because you have the body, and that being doesn't. So if that being is telling you something that you don't like, tell it to shut the fuck up, and just, tune into something else. So that doesn't happen very often. I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that.
No.
Just wasn't expecting that one.
California, I'm sorry.
This is a good thing, because I think that a lot of people too who are, having this conversation about how do I talk to my spirit guides are a bit worried that there might there's like a universe of spirit guides out there. I don't want to attract an evil spirit, you know what I mean? Or I don't want to attract spirit guides that harass me, or that tell me the wrong thing, that give me the wrong advice. So there's fear around it too. And as Barbara Jean just said, you're in the body, so you have seniority. So no matter who comes through, whether it's a rascal of a spirit, like some dead dude that has that's sort of like walking the earth playing tricks on people, or an ascended master or whatever, you have control over this, complete control over it. Like, you can say, go away, stay. And okay, I'm going to go back to Rosie. You said that, no, Laura, you said it. You said you got a thought what was the thought that came to you that you thought wasn't you?
What I heard it say was, because my thoughts were kind of all over the place, just going through, whatever crisis it was. And it channeled me to the right way. I mean, I felt like I got the right vibe, and I heard, isn't that the point? Isn't that the point? And I thought, yeah, but that wasn't me. I just keep hearing, isn't that the point, when I got in my right head, you know what I mean? And I thought, what was that? Isn't that the point? Yeah. That wasn't me talking to me.
But wasn't it clear as a bell?
Clear as
yes.
a bell. But how the guidance feels tells you what you're accessing, right? So isn't that the point? Sounds like it sounds like guidance. It sounds like someone that knows what they're talking about, who's guiding you without telling you what to do. This is the big thing, right? Guidance never tells you what to do. It's like a mother that's watching a baby walk. You can't walk for the baby, but you can guide them. You can help them when they fall down. You can say, "You're all right. Get back up." Yeah, isn't that right, Barbara Jean? Like, guidance is never telling you what to do. It's just guiding you. So if there is some voice in your head telling you what to do, that's not guidance. That might be some, you know, you might be at a low vibe, and you've opened your field, you've opened your crown and third eye chakra, and then maybe you're attracting a similar vibe, because you can only attract the vibe that you're and so it's the same with thoughts. You know, when you're really depressed, how you think, oh, I'm upset about this, and then you start to think all the other things that you're upset about, and then you start to think, oh, my life never works out, you know, I never get what I want, you know, and just like these, you get this cascade, this momentum of negative thought that just starts to roll out, and like the whole world looks bad, like everything is dark. And that's because like attracts like. So thought attracts thought, vibration attracts vibration. This is why we have to be deliberate in shifting that. And when we get on this roll of negative energy, we've got to put the brakes on and say, stop, you know, I can change this. I remember doing this in the car with my husband. I was really pissed off with him at one stage. He was shitting me like, and then he said to me, think of something nice about me, right? And I could only think of bad things like, oh, you frustrate me. You really piss me off. I can't stand it. You're always doing this, blah, 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 blah. Always, 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 right? And then I looked at him and he was throwing my own teachings back in my face. I love that when people do that to me, because it really works. It pisses you off at the time, but it really works. And I'm like, I cannot think of one nice thing about you. Like, I couldn't find a better thought. And then he goes, try. And I'm like, I'm happy you're driving and not me, because if I was driving in this mood, I'd probably crash the car. And then that, like, I thought a better thought. It wasn't a nice thought, better thought.
Yeah,
right?
but it was better.
And then yeah, it's good that you drive and I don't have to drive all the time. Then another better thought. And then you start to find these better thoughts. And it really took minutes for me to going, I hate you, to I love you again. Like, we have that ability to shift our vibration, right? And I remember sitting in the car that day thinking, damn, this stuff really works. You know, I teach it to people all the time, but I'm actually practicing it in my own personal life, going from I hate you to I love you. You can do it as quickly as you want to do it. Sometimes we stayed in I hate you for like days, weeks, months. Sometimes it's called I'll divorce you, and we stay in I hate you for a lifetime. And then we die and we figure out that we actually love each other. Barbara's. So I'm sure, Barbara Jean, you went through that too when you were going through like divorcing your husband, bringing up the kids, trying to stay connected to source and like sucked into the matrix, as Barbara said.
I had 3 divorces. I've been married 3 times. So I have a lot of...
You are a glutton for punishment, aren't you?
So I just tell everyone I'm untamable, okay? So...
The taming of the shrew.
You know, the best thing I learned going through this, and someone gave me this advice and how it worked for me, was, okay, Barbara, if you're going to go through this really difficult time that, you know, Spirit set up for you to learn these bigger things, and it's not going to be easy, and it really actually sucks, and it hurts, and it's really messed up, just don't create any new karma while you're doing it. And that's the key. And I thought, that's brilliant. And it just shifted everything for me in the divorce. And so if I want to kill him, because you know, you still go there. I don't care who and what you've been. Yeah. There is a point where it's real, and then you back out of that and you say, I'm not going to create any new karma while I'm here. And, you know, I don't have to love him even. I don't have to wish him the best. That comes later after you've healed yourself up, right? And then the real later is after you really healed yourself, that on the astral bar on the other side, I'm going to have a cocktail with him and say, thank you for putting me through that, because you taught me how to empower myself and how to say no. Wow. So there's that whole bigger picture of it. Yeah. But when you're in it, it's like, well, you know, so I won't say the words, because I'm passionate about my life. So when I do something, I'm going to do it good. If I'm going to have a really bad mistake. I'm going to do it good. I'm going to do it in a really heavy duty way, and then come out of it in a much higher, lighter, brighter way as well. So,
you know what I love about you, Barbara Jean, is that you've got this beautiful childlike energy, and I just love it. I just adore it. I just think it's so beautiful. It's so, because, you know, I talk to so many people. When I reached out to put you on the show, people vet me, like, who are you? Do I want to speak to you? Like, what's your show about? You know, they sort of like always ask me a million questions. And you just went, hell yeah!
well, because I knew intuitively, I'm tuned in. I do what I say. Yeah. I talk about, like you walk your talk, you know instantly if you want to be on that show or not.
Absolutely. Which is why I find it funny when people want to, you know, vet me, like, who are you, blah, blah, blah. It's like, just fucking tune in. You know, if you're psychic, if you walk your talk, you don't need to read my website or meet me. Just tune in.
That's the same way with my show. With when I bring people on to interview them too, it's not how many hits you have. Someone asked me that. Well, how many Facebook friends do you have? I go, I just said, I don't know. I don't really want to know. And if that's your priority, I think maybe you should find someone else, because, you know, and I was just a little bit shocked, actually, a little bit shocked by that. But
it's interesting. I reached out to someone. Actually, one of the listeners told me about him. Have you heard of this guy? He speaks to angels. So I checked him out, and he's this English guy, and he's got this very proper English voice. And I reached out to him and said, would you like to be on the show? And the initial response was, not hell yeah, but the enthusiasm was like, yeah, great. And then after a few communications, it was like, how many people do you speak to? And I came back to him and I said, no, I'm not playing that game. And he said, what game? What game? And I said, no, it's not about how many people I speak to. It's not about how many hits. I'm not putting you on my show to sell your books. This is not about money for me. I don't do this show for money. This is about contributing to other people. And if you've got something to say that will do that, then that's why I want you on the show. It's not about how many people I reach. And he just didn't get that, because for him it was about selling his books, right? How many people can I sell my books to, or my cards, or whatever? And so we had an interesting email exchange, and the two egos were like up in our faces. And then I wrote back to him and I said, oh, this is hilarious. You know, if we can both get our ego out of the way, I'm still up for a conversation. And he didn't respond. So, yeah.
Hey, you dodged a bullet, okay?
Yeah.
Look, the thing that I want from people, no matter who they are, is authenticity. You know, if you're a spiritual seeker, or, you know, on a spiritual path, or putting yourself out there to contribute to others, it's not a money game. It's not the success game. It's not, you know, not about getting pulled back into that matrix. You have to come from a place of, I'm here to contribute to others. I'm here to help. And then when you do come from that authentic place, then life helps you do that. It's just, life helps you do that, you know, and you don't have to worry about playing that money game. You know, how many people are buying this or doing that, blah, blah, blah. You just need to be relaxed, and like you said, we were chatting about this before, just be chilled out and relaxed and let it all sort itself out. Right, Barbara Jean?
Yeah, and we're raising humanity. We're loving and giving and to humanity and to each other. And first, the way we started out is to ourselves. It took me a long time to love myself. You know, I was conditioned not to in a lot of ways. And then to find my voice too, that I actually had something of value to say. I was really good at promoting other people. I love people, and I have a good recipe. I'm going to just give it to everybody. But to find my own voice in this, I still run from the teacher's position sometimes. I feel much more comfortable helping and doing all of that. But it just started coming more, and so I stopped running from it as much. But, you know, that's because I get to learn so much. I'm always learning. Are you kidding? I'm reading and learning as much as I ever teach,
Absolutely.
anything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're all always learning. I don't care who you are. Thank you, Barbara Jean.
Thank you.
We're definitely going to hatch a plan to do Egypt.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm open. I think let's talk about it. So this is awesome.
Egypt 2020. Let's do it. You could put it out there to your tribe, and we could do
I will.
a guide. Like, yeah.
You and I both guide. We'll guide it, and then I have lots of contacts there.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I have no contacts there.
No, we want to go in a group and of people who've been doing these for a long time. We can walk in with them where it's all set up already, and it's safe. It's really safe, as safe as it can be. And you have to be careful. There's lots of things that you have to know. That's how it works. Otherwise, if you go by yourself, you're just going to be. You want to see these beautiful tombs and places of sacredness. No one else is there, so that you can tune in and really get in touch with it. So that's the way we would do it, is go in and get private access and sit in the king's chamber, and tune in, and then go to Sekhmet's, her temple for sure, and all the different, some of my favorite places, Abydos, and to Hathor's temple and Dendera. And I mean, the way I went to